give you. What Rev is gonna give you. What Ben is gonna give you. What all three are gonna give you. The Big D. Chico's gonna give you. What Rev is gonna give you. What Ben is gonna give you. What all three are gonna give you. The Big D. Chico, Rev, and Ben, yep, they're at it again. Breaking down the team, putting stats up in your head. Nothing left unsaid, they're leaving it all on the field. Just like the favorite team, raising 2 cups and with shield. The knowledge is real for a trio so true to representing the gray, red, white, and blue. And you love them too, that you can't deny. So just one time, let me hear Dallas till I die. Chico's gonna give you what Rev is gonna give you. What Ben is gonna give you. What all three are gonna give you. The Big D. Chico's gonna give you what Rev is gonna give you. What Ben is gonna give you. What all three are gonna give you. The Big D. Soccer podcast? Huh.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Big D After Dark. I'm excited for the show tonight, even though the weekend was a bit miserable for FC Dallas fans, as FC Dallas and interim head coach Marco Ferruzzi headed up to Vancouver and were unable to come away with any points. A 1-0 loss. A lot to pick through as we think about that game and against the next 7 matches, all of which are must-wins for FC Dallas to have any chance at the playoffs. And we'll talk about Ricardo Pepi transfer rumors. We're glad you're joining us. Hit us with your questions and comments to shape the show. And let's get to it. Welcome to Big D After Dark. And there we are. We're live. Welcome to Big D After Dark, everybody. Thanks for taking time out of your Monday evening to join us as we talk, along with other FC Dallas fans, about the latest FC Dallas news and rumors and conversation starters. We're going to have some fun tonight, even though the weekend, as I said in the intro, was not so fun for FC Dallas fans. I'm Nathan. You can follow me at Nathan J. Hill, and just also with us tonight is good friend Jose Carmona at El Chico Carmona.
Hello.
Good to have Jose. Good to have you here. And Ben is still taking a needed break away from soccer, from FC Dallas soccer, and appreciated Tommy joining us last week. But we're gonna do this. We're gonna just have a good conversation, the two of us. Let's just get right into. Oh, and of course, folks, type in your comments. Let us know your questions, your takeaways, your feedback about this past weekend, and we'll be getting to Ricardo Pepi rumors in just a little bit here. Let's start with the takeaways from the loss. FC Dallas went up to Vancouver, the first match in charge there for Marco.
Difficulty.
Oh, is it working? We have
You're working now.
Oh, okay, that's weird. Well, all right. Well, we may have some technical glitches tonight.
For a second.
Yeah, no. My camera has been acting a little funny, and it may just be time for a new camera. We'll see. But first game in charge for Marco Ferruzzi, and didn't quite go the way he wanted. In fact, we'll hear a clip from him in just a moment, his reactions to the game. I didn't get to watch this one live. I was out camping, so I caught up on it today. So let's just start with our general takeaways from the match, Jose. What were your takeaways from this disappointing result?
Well, the takeaway is that Ferruzzi technically delivered on his promise that the defense would play better, and the team set up to play defense, with Acosta and Quignon as your dual deep line midfielders there. And honestly, the defense played okay. They only allowed the one goal, which of course was the game winner. And it just highlights what's been wrong with the team all season long. They set up defensively to play defensive ball, And sure, they didn't allow the 3 goals this week like they did several weeks, for like 5 weeks in a row. They allowed 1 goal, but their attack completely disappeared. And this is something that we've seen all year is there seems to be a lack of flexibility with the midfield. If you set up defensively, you play good defense, you may allow 1 goal, but your attack disappears. If you set up offensively and set up with a single pivot on defense and 2 midfielders up high, sure, you may score 2-3 goals, but then your defense is going to allow just as many goals. And that's what we saw. It was true to form. Another game, the defense played well for the majority of the part. Yes, of course, they did actually get saved a couple of times by Jimmy Moore. Thank God he's back and healthy, because it shows you his value. He made some great saves. And it's just frustrating, You see where the team, what they're doing right and what they're doing wrong, and there's just no correction. It's just, it's they got 1 foot out of the playoffs, and they're slowly sliding that other foot across.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm with you. I think, like, again, you watch the match, and it wasn't a bottom of the Western Conference Major League Soccer kind of team. What you think of? Like, there were some attacking actions that looked really promising. Pepi had some shots. Jesus had some opportunities. They got the ball in dangerous places. They battled. Defensively, they gave up some chances. I mean, every team does to some degree or another. And we're able to fend those off, get in the way, except for one moment where you switch off, one moment where you're just not on your front foot, and you give up the goal.
Mm-hmm.
A disappointing match, and it's frustrating as an FC Dallas fan, because you'd almost sometimes wish for them just to have a shambolic match, when you're just like, look, oh my gosh, look how bad it is. But then you end up with this thing where a coach can come back and say, disappointing result, but we played well, that kind of thing, which is not what FC Dallas fans are wanting to hear at the moment. And I agree with the midfield, not really good enough in the match. And of course, fans are putting a lot of blame on Dan Hunt's goal scorer, Franco Jara.
Deservedly. I mean, I didn't even bring that up, but come on, man, that was brutal. That was a brutal ending to that match. I mean, you're sitting there, you're watching, you're like, yes, we get the PK. You got your $3 million man, whose one good thing is PKs. And I'm sorry. Somewhere in the back of my head, I'm like, he's gonna blow this. I just know it. That's just the way the season's going, and that's indicative of how this season has been. Is the team falls behind, they battle back, they get that opportunity to at least walk out a point on the road. I don't care. Fans can cry all they want, but a point on the road is a good result in MLS. Mm-hmm. And they had a shot at that, and they're the man they brought in just for that purpose alone. He can't even do that. And if that's not frustrating enough, he had a second shot, a clean shot on goal, and he skied it, and he blew it. So he had 2 shots, the PK, and then he had a follow-up sitter, and he blew the sitter. And it's like, at that point, I mean, as soon as they blew the whistle, I just shut off my TV, and I didn't want to hear anything else. I don't think I watched social media or anything, because all you're going to hear is frustration, and the fans have a right to be frustrated,
Well, and let's key on one other player that fans can rightly, we can ask questions about, what or a position, which is our outside back position. And not that our central defenders have been without error, and it's interesting to see that Tafari has gotten some time on the bench. I don't know what that's about, or if it's just, hey, we need to get our veterans going again. But Che, I saw some frustration with Justin Che's performance, and so I paid attention to that, and it wasn't the greatest performance. He was culpable on the mistake on that first goal as well, but it wasn't an awful performance either. He's raw. He is a 17-year-old kid who's learning as he goes and playing in a position that's not his ideal position, and doing somewhat okay there. He's battling there, not the best, but he's given them crucial minutes. Tumasi, we've gone back and forth on him. Are we seeing his ceiling? Although he was less of a liability in this match. So it's going to be. I just don't know if it's. My gut is I think it's a lot to hoist onto Che's shoulders and expect him as a 17-year-old. I think this is what comes with playing their kids. They're going to make some mistakes. They're going to switch off here and there. They're not going to be the cleanest on the ball and things, but you love to see their effort, and you see a kid like that battling and learning as he gets time.
Well, let's face it. As talented as Che is, if you're an opposing coach, you're looking for chinks in that defensive armor, and you have to say, hey, we have to go after the teenager. Yes, he's talented. Yes, he's solid. But at the end of the day, he's a teenager. He's gonna make mistakes, and we just have to keep going at him, and take advantage when that happens. And I know some fans are screaming bloody murder over Justin Che, but it's the problem with playing the youth is youth makes youthful mistakes, and Che, he had, I wouldn't say he had a bad game, but he had the biggest mistake of the match. And when you lose by only one goal, and let's face it, one goal allowed is a damn good defensive effort. But if you go back a full month, as bad as defense has looked, and I called it, I'm sorry, but when they announced, the starting lineup, and I said, oh, hey, Brazan's starting, that's it. The defense isn't going to allow 3 goals. They're going to allow 1 goal, and the fans are going to scream bloody murder when it happens, and that's exactly what's happening. Of course, Brazan didn't allow the goal. Justin Che did. He's the kid that got beaten.
Yeah.
That performance, any of the previous 5 matches would have been a sensational defensive effort, and
yeah,
it's just. I don't know, man. We're running out of excuses for this team. Really, it's they can't do 2 things. They just can't play defense, have a good defensive match and a good offensive match on the same day. They either have one or the other, or it's a tale of 2 halves where the defense plays great for one half and the offense plays terrible, or the second half it flips around, and that's what's really frustrating. And that's really, again, people have said it, and you have to agree with it. That just comes down to not having top-notch DPs. You have a Costa, who's your DP, and mind you, he's not an offensive threat. Mm-hmm. He's not an offensive threat at all, and that's one of your DPs. So. I know he's not a high-end DP, but I think, I'm not with these people that say, get rid of him. I'm okay if they simply use some TAM or something and buy him down and make him, a TAM player. But he's not a DP. He has never really been a DP or played at that level. And I don't want to go on about Haro. We already know what that is. The problem is, your 2 DPs are missing in action, and those are the guys that you're counting on to change your team's fortunes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You remove the DPs from all the teams in MLS, and everyone's going to be about even. It's those DPs that are going to change the tide of the game, and Dallas doesn't have those guys.
Yeah.
And the record bears it out. 17 matches this season, Dallas has allowed the first goal, and they have not won a single one of those matches. And I may be wrong. I think it's 10 draws and 7 losses. I could have that backwards. It could be 7 draws and 10 losses. Either way you slide it is, they don't have those DPs that can alter the fortune of the team. And we're counting on the young guys. We're counting on Pepi. We're counting on kids like Che. We're counting on Shun or Pamikal or Jesus. Those are the guys we count on to win the game, and of course, it's not happening. So I think that's what the fans demand really is get different DPs. Take a gamble, roll the dice. We're not even asking for a $5 million DP. We just want somebody that's going to be effective. I don't care if they don't spend $2 million on a guy, as long as he's a young guy who can score.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned that Marco, you felt like did bring some change. So let's listen to him from the post-game media time, just kind of reflecting his general thoughts about the match, and then we'll talk a little bit about how he would grade his first game in charge as interim head coach with this particular roster.
Yeah, I thought the team had a spirited match. Unfortunately, we took the goal early in the first half, and I think we grew in the game. Started solving some problems. I think in the second half, we had our best options and best opportunities. Made a formation change that was fairly productive. We created some shots and opportunities, scoring opportunities out of that, including a penalty kick. So, obviously disappointed leaving without points, but overall, strong effort by the team.
Yeah, so how would you grade what Marco brought after just a week in charge and, given a really difficult mountain to climb with this squad? Did you see enough change in this roster to give you some hope that, some positive results are down the road?
Absolutely not. Honestly, I think if Lucci was still in charge and suddenly Mars healthy and starting, and you got a healthy Hedges and Brazon next to him and a healthy Acosta in front, you get the exact same result. I honestly, there's not much he can do. He can do some tweaks here and there, but nothing that's going to be visible. He's still stuck with the team he's got, and all he can do is try to make them play better. It's still Lucci ball out there, really. That's not going to change. Maybe when we have that 18-day break or something like that, then he can implement some changes then that we may see that are visible. But right now, all he can do is try to get the team to play cleaner, make less mistakes, and the normal stuff that would happen over the course of a regular season. He's been dealt a losing hand, and that's it. He's interim, and I'm sorry. It's Hara may not just cost Lucci his job. He's probably going to cost Ferruzzi his job as well.
Yeah, and that's got to sting. Yeah, I don't think I saw. I agree with you. Better defensive performance, giving up only 1 goal on the road, and Vancouver maybe could have had another 1 or 2, and Mara came up big in those moments, and the team played more cohesive. But but this is FC Dallas that we've seen over the course of this season. a team that in moments can damage you, but in moments too, it just doesn't ever quite come together, you know.
And like I said, you if I was not paying attention to the team and for some reason didn't know that Lucci had been fired, I honestly did not see a difference.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing stood out as being different. It was basically a simple decision to play more conservative on the road and be more defensive minded, defense first, basically playing for the draw on the road. And we've seen that from Lucci. It's still the same team. It's just healthier. I mean, that's really the only thing that Ferruzzi's getting. He's getting a healthier FC Dallas team than Lucci had. As all the players start running, it's too late.
Yeah.
I hope Dallas wins all their home games, but honestly, they're so far out now that not only would you need one team to have a complete collapse, you need like 3-4 teams to have total complete collapses. And I'm sorry, that's not going to happen. So
yeah. Well, we were talking about this before the show about what is the better scenario. Is it better that FC Dallas makes the playoffs miraculously, that they put together a string of results and close out the season and just inch in, or is it make a lot more sense? Or is it better for the club for them to just go out early? And I appreciate, Jose, how you framed it, because if they can just barely get into the playoffs or they're just outside of it, that some folks in the front office can say, hey, see, we did the right thing by making the coaching change here. Yeah, we can compete next year. We just need to adjust a couple of things, or the front office needs to contend that no, there's a lot of serious challenges with this roster and a lot of changes that need to be made, and it's not just putting the new coach in charge, right? It's a tough one, because we don't want our team to lose. I mean, I don't want.
I'm one of the most optimistic people out there when it comes to the team, and I was telling everybody, don't panic. As long as we're within 6 points, as we hit that last stretch with all those home matches, we'll be fine. Well, that's out the window now, and I'll tell you right now, it's for the better of the team, of the club, if Dallas gets eliminated from the playoffs early. And I don't mean like barely eliminated. I mean several weeks before the end of the season, they're eliminated. And I'll tell you why that's a necessity for this team. It's because it'll force Dan and Clark to take a hard look at the roster. And they can't talk their way out of it saying, oh, look, it was Lucci's fault. Yeah. Lucci's the fall guy. He's been fired. Ferruzzi's going to come in and make everything better. But as much as I want this team to win every single match down the stretch, it's probably not going to happen, and it's probably better that it doesn't, because it'll force the Hunts to look at the roster and say, fine, we have to make. And mind you, when think about it, when Dan Hunt said that the team needed to make a couple of additions, take into consideration that we're probably going to lose Pepi either in the winter or in the summer. We're absolutely losing Pepi, so you're going to make 2 changes, and one of those has to account for Pepi. So technically, you're only making 1 change.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and if the team misses the playoffs and misses it by a lot, it forces Dan and Clark to prove to the season ticket holders that they're trying to make changes to make sure the team wins. And it won't take just 2. It's going to have to take multiple. We're talking, I mean, you ask any fan out there and they'll tell you, they'll reel off a list of players that they want gone, And and that only happens if the team gets booted from the playoffs several weeks before the end of the season.
Our buddy Ben says, yeah, we need to have ownership really see that we have big issues to fix, and I agree. Thanks for watching. And of course, it's hard. It's
let me say that I'm not cheering against the team. I'm not cheering. I want them to win a single game, but in reality, I just want the team to be true to form. And by true to form, I mean this team loses, fails to get wins at home. A draw here, a draw there, and they fail to win on the road. If they stay true to that, oh yeah, they'll be eliminated early, and then we got to sit there and listen to Dan say, "Oh, we only need 2 additions." No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
You need to take a hard look at the roster and make some hard choices. And with the Pepi sale looming, you can't claim poverty, because if you're gonna get that 10 million to 20 million sale, then where is that 10 million, 20 million DP that's not coming?
Yeah.
Hell, most fans would be happy if you spend, let's say you said sell Pepi for 20. The fans here would be happy if you spend half of that on 2 DPs. We're not asking for much. We're saying, hey, you're saying, all the money's going back to the team. Well, it was fine to say that when you were only selling a player for $1 million or $500,000. But now that you're selling players for millions of dollars, we're not seeing, you just sold Reynolds for like $7-8 million. Where's that $7-8 million DP?
Yeah.
You're not getting the like for like. And like I said, FCD fans aren't even asking for like for like. We're just saying, do take bigger risks, be a bigger club. And yes, I love the homegrown approach, but the homegrown approach would work better if they had players that they could lean on when the kids are struggling.
Right. Ben says, does this missed penalties show ownership that Hara is not worth the salary? And I think that's where some of that Ryan Reynolds money is in Hara's salary. But hey,
take some of that Pepi money and buy him out. I'm sorry. Do the hard choice. I mean, like I said, I don't think that's going to happen. But more realistically, you could buy down Acosta, bring him down to a TAM level player, and then that frees up a DP spot.
Right.
That's not asking for much.
I think there's a lot of things. So that's what I'll be interested to see from Ferruzzi as he goes forward, is if he's willing to take some risks. Like I think at this point in the season, it makes sense after just a week of change. You don't want to blow anything up quick, but after that match, 2 crucial matches coming up this week, I think you want to begin to try some things. You want to begin to experiment. I mean, I'd love to see Paxton in the middle. I like to see him and Shun get another start on the wing. And so I think there's things that Marco can do that I think would give me some excitement and energy. But I think all of this, too, is pointing to the kind of coach that FC Dallas needs to go get. And the thing is, I think, I understand why Lucci was fired. I mean, this has not been a great year. But I look at Jim Curtin in Philadelphia, and I know, they have a similar trajectory as Dallas, and those results weren't always good. Philadelphia was building, and in a lot of ways, Lucci probably needed more time, needed to continue to learn, to grow, and we needed to stick with him if we felt like he was going to be what this team. Now, maybe he wasn't. Maybe there's more to the story, right? But ultimately, I think we see, if this is the style that the Hunts want to do, where they want to be judicious and selective, and they're spending the money, they want to develop players, they want to be a little on the thriftier side of teams, that's fine. And again, then you need to find a coach who can motivate, get the most out of this assembly of players, who can help develop those young players, get them through the rough patches and get them going, but also a coach who is going to leave no detail overturned, looking for little edges. How can we turn our throw-ins into attacking moments? How can we get everything we can out of corners? Because every goal is going to matter whether or not we are successful or not. And so that's something that I think we missed from Lucci at times. I don't think we saw that level of detail, and it's why I have respect for a guy like Robin Frazier in Colorado, because that is one thing that he does get out of his teams, those little moments that can turn into interesting. So it's gonna be like if Hunt and if they're gonna go with this model that we got, they're gonna need to find a coach who can get a lot out of it. And I think Pereira was that kind of. I mean, I think he got a lot out of some pieces and some players like Atiba Harris and stuff, moving people around. He got value out of guys and coached something more than the sum of their parts kind of a thing. And so, I think some of this is hopefully showing Hunt and them what they really need to be looking for in their next coach. And that's the question, whether Marco can show some of that over these final weeks of the season.
And here's something that of an advantage that the new coach, whoever that is going to have over Lucci. And it's something that I don't think we've really talked about, and that is with North Texas moving to the MLS Reserve League, that changes things significantly as far as it comes to reserves, because I know everyone's bitching more about it, but think about it. FC Dallas can't just call up players from North Texas because those guys are under USL contracts. You have to either offer them a contract to get them on the roster, or you gotta get them loaned to you. Either way, they're taking a roster spot. That goes out the window. That inability to move players up, yes, you can move your players that are on your roster down and back up, but there's no way that for you, unless you're willing to give up a roster spot, to take players from North Texas and move them up. With North Texas moving to the Reserve League, that goes away. We're not sure what's going to happen, but very likely those players are basically going to be an extension of the senior team. And I guarantee you MLS is going to have stuff in place that will allow more free-flowing movement, which will make it so you don't have to wonder if a Cervania or a Cerrillo can go down and play for a couple games. They can play all they want. So I think this is going to be huge, especially for such a young team that's relying on homegrowns. Those homegrown players need those minutes. And you want to be able to take someone that's on the reserve team and pump them up and know that they've been playing for weeks, as opposed to, we're going to start our backup goalkeeper who hasn't played, most of the season, and we're going to throw him in there. He's going to start. Yeah. Which was what would have happened, by the way, if Morrow wasn't healthy, and we had to go with our third string goalkeeper who hasn't played all season. Yeah. So I think that's something to keep an eye on. I'm curious to see how MLS sets that up. Hopefully, like I said, the whole problem with the USL is, yes, it's great for developing players, but movement from the USL team up to the senior team is very hard to do. And that's something that hopefully will make it so that the team can find some more cohesiveness, going forward. And I know I've veered off the course, but the bottom line is I think the coach that they bring in needs to know MLS. Yeah, I guess that's what I'm getting at. And I'm sorry, I don't think Ferruzzi's going to be it, simply because Ferruzzi, much like Lucci, has been set up to fail. Yeah, I'm sorry to say that, but that's and if you're a manager and you want to come be a manager for FC Dallas, I mean, is that what's going to happen to you? Are you going to be set up to fail?
Well, let's shift out a couple more topics before we close the show. Let's shift over to, as we talk about development. We've already broached the topic a little bit here. Pepi Watch. Ajax is preparing to make an offer. Some of the latest breaking news today that they were at the game in Vancouver. And I think even though Pepi did not score, he was active and he combined well, and he had some really
good hold-up play.
Good hold-up play. Good. Yeah, I think it was a good showcase for him. Of course, we hope he scores a lot more to set records. And
he made some nice runs, by the way, that if the right pass would have been, threaded to him, but those passes weren't coming. You saw where he made several nice runs, but the pass went in a different direction or towards the defender and wasn't threaded properly. That's something that if you're a bigger team, you see that, you're like, well, he's making the correct runs. If Dallas has somebody to get him the ball at that time, that's a goal, or at least it's a shot on goal.
Yeah. And so the word is that the next 2 weeks there is going to be an attempt to get his services, sign Pepi, and bring him to Europe somewhere. A lot of speculation about which team that is. Juventus is another team interested.
I believe so far it's like Roma, Milan, Juventus, Bayern,
and
Ajax. Bologna, I think, is another one that's on there.
And a couple of the teams have already been like, oh no, they're asking too much, which is good for Dallas's perspective. I mean, this is a goal scorer here, an 18-year-old goal scorer. Can't.
Well, think about it. You got what, 7 to 8 million for Reynolds, a right back. That's not even a marquee position, in all honesty, if we're being honest. So if Pepi, goal scorers they're coveted, and he's so young that even if you think he has flaws, you say, hey, get him a year or two in our system and we'll iron those out. So his value is there, and of course I believe Milan has gone on and said that, hey, Dallas is asking for too much. Good. That's what we want to hear.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be a bargain bin buy. Dallas should demand more for Pepi, and what that's going to do is that's going to weed out the teams that aren't really 100% interested in him. I'm saying, let's just buy him and loan him out and see if he pans out. That's going to dissuade those guys. That means if the Hunts are asking for top dollar for Pepi, we don't know what the price is, but my guess would be somewhere in the $20 million range is what they're asking. I'm not saying they're going to get it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that's probably their asking price.
Which makes sense. Which would be a record fee for Major League Soccer.
What is the record? Where's the record fee? Is it 16 million, 18 million?
Yeah, for Davies, right?
Yeah. I mean, I would, if I'm Dallas, I'm saying start there or don't call us at all, in all honesty. I mean, we've just signed him to an extension, so he's not going anywhere, and we don't have to send him anywhere. And really, they need to play hardball. I know the USMT fans are like, oh, you can't do that. Let him go to Europe. I even hear fans complaining that Dallas is holding on to their players so long. That's nonsense. That hasn't happened since Acosta.
Yeah.
I mean, if anything, if you ask an FC Dallas fan, we're not holding on to him long enough. That's why the team is struggling, because every year you got to replace a player that was sold that was the starter the season before. And that's so hard to do, to consistently replace starters that you're selling off. Yeah. So I don't want to hear USMT fans. Pepi, if you're going to sell him for top dollar. And again, show us that you actually put that money back into the team, because if you're selling Pepi, then damn it, I want a high-priced DP replacing him. And high price means more than the $3 million you're paying Hara. I'm sorry, Hara is a low-end DP. Even $3 million is high by our standards, but it's low by MLS standards. I'm sorry. So if a team's gonna break the bank to buy Pepi from you, then we demand that you break the bank on your next DP, because you're losing your top scorer, and Hara's not gonna replace him. So you need to go get the guy that's going to replace him. I remember I ran that whole Juan Di Neno rumor over a year ago. That guy's available for like 5-6 million, and he's still tearing it up. Get that guy or someone like him.
Mm-hmm.
You're not.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah,
it's
I hear
gonna
you.
happen. Stick to your
I
guns.
hear you.
Stick to your guns. Don't listen to the U.S. fanboys. They're ridiculous.
Yeah, and if no one wants to pay that price, I mean, I want to watch Pepi for another year. I'm wearing my the new shirt.
Beltran.
So the last time I bought a FC Dallas shirt with a name on it, it was for Kenny Cooper, and then they traded him after that. So please, well, it's the timing of this, but whatever. Let's close out we have a 6-point week ahead, 2 games at home, Sporting Kansas City and then Minnesota United. Neither game is going to be easy. Both teams are fighting for playoff positioning, and both teams are excellent teams. We especially love playing Sporting Kansas City, but the last time we played them at home, they took care of business quite easily. And FC Dallas hopefully is remembering that game and is going to come out and get a big result.
From Sporting's point of view, they're catching Dallas at the right time. Let's face it, the team is struggling. We got an interim manager. I mean, I'm sorry, but Sporting's probably licking their chops right now, saying, we already know we can beat these guys.
Yeah.
And they're, so I hope the team wins. I think Dallas will win. I think they'll find a way to rebound and get the W. But like you said, it's not a gimme, and especially, mind you, on a short week. And
yeah,
we still don't know who's banged up. We don't know if Matt can handle, if he's ready to go on a short week's rest, if he's that healthy.
Yeah, a lot of question marks. I mean, my hope that the team does whatever happens on Wednesday, especially if Pulido is in town with Kansas City, is that somehow there's like a mix-up, and Franco Jara wakes up, and he's now part of the Sporting Kansas City team, and Pulido is now somehow FC Dallas player. I don't know, some kind of mix, some kind of weird science thing. I don't know.
I'm thinking, what would it take for fans to stop being sour on Jara? And I think Jara would have to hit a hat trick for every game remaining, every game have a hat trick, and then some fans might start warming up to him.
Yeah. Well, I'm optimistic, but I'm also I think one of these games is going to be a nice game for Dallas. I think they're going to put something together, but I think more likely it's going to end up being like a 1 win and a draw this week, or maybe 1 win and 1 loss. It could get worse than that, but I don't think it's gonna. I think the team's going to fight. So I'm hoping the win against Sporting Kansas City. Then maybe they give up a late equalizer against Minnesota or something like that. I think it's still going to be a struggle of a week, but.
I'm a fan. I'm hoping for 2 wins, but the back of my head, I'm like, please, get the 2 wins.
And
I know I've been saying get eliminated early from the playoffs, but
it might happen this week. I mean, if they lose one of these games, it's pretty much cooked at that point. But we'll see. A lot can still happen. There's always. But every goal that Pepi can score from here on out, I think that price tag, that the potential.
I honestly, Pepi has done what he needed to do already. That's my take on it. He's already drawing the attention. Ajax flew halfway around the world to come see him play in Vancouver and talk to his agent. So, I mean, honestly,
And they're a good club to develop guys. They're
the only thing that Pepi has to do is stay healthy. That's it.
mm-hmm.
Stay healthy and work on his weaknesses. And I'm sure, I guarantee you, some of these teams that are interested in him have probably discussed that with him and said, hey, you know, if we're going to spend money on you, we want you to work on this,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because we'll be watching you and we want you working on this and this. I don't doubt that.
Yeah.
You know. So, yeah, here's the other thing. I know I was going back to it again. I said, you know, Dallas needs to make sweeping changes, you know, in this offseason. And mind you, I'm saying that because we're all talking about Pepi leaving, but I'm not so certain he's the only one that's leaving. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if someone puts in a bid for Chewy or Paxton, Cervania, Surreal. I'm just saying that if the offer's there, the Hunts will sell.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just saying, sweeping changes have to come, and some people got to go, and some people that we don't want to go will go.
Mm-hmm.
So I want the team to brace for that. If you're going to sell Pepi, then that next scorer needs to be on the roster at the start of next season, even if you haven't sold Pepi, because we all know he's on the clock.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I don't want them selling him, and then it's like, oops, we're going to wait several months to replace him. Okay, well, those several months, we're losing matches.
Well, we're going to close the show up there. By the way, North Texas had a great victory against
North Carolina. Watched the match. It was a
gutsy one.
Solid display on defense. By the way, the center back duo were the two kids from the same team from what is it? I can't think of the you know, the Portuguese team that loaned us 3 players.
Mm-hmm.
So the 2 center backs are loaned to us from that team. And they look good. I mean, they shut down North Carolina, and mind you, North Texas needed that win.
Yeah.
That puts them in 6th place. Mind you, they're other teams have a game on hand on North Texas, but North Texas has a favorable home schedule. So as long as North Texas continues to get results at home, they should be a playoff team.
Yeah.
And I'm curious to see if they get into the playoffs, how many players FC Dallas will loan down, because they could, you know, if Dallas is eliminated from the playoffs, why wouldn't you suddenly loan Surreal and Cervania and Rio? I mean, they could loan 6-7 players down to North Texas in the playoffs.
Yeah, be exciting. I mean, it was a much needed win for them, I know, and it was a fun match to watch, and a killer goal. That goal was fantastic. So a lot of good talent to see in some of these youngsters coming along that are developing, and hopefully will make their way into the senior team here and there as they continue to develop. Well, let's leave it there tonight. Remember, folks, follow us at bigdsoccer.com for your latest news and updates about FC Dallas. A great article there today from Sound and Fury about a couple of potential trade moves that FC Dallas can make to strengthen the squad. It's kind of intriguing. It's just fun stuff to read. So we're not quite into off-season mode yet, and hopefully we won't be for a while. But plenty of things to talk about and discuss as we go forward, and we pull for FC Dallas to win as much as they can in the rest of this season. Well, Jose, great. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll see you soon. Oh, wait, one more?
Yeah, I was just going to say, hopefully under happier circumstances.
Yeah, hopefully under happier circumstances. All right, good night, everybody.
Good night.